Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks out there in the RPG community. It is good to see you. Today is Tips and Tricks Tuesday, and this week we will be talking about everything and anything related to chases. Specifically, we're going to talk about today. We're specifically going to talk about mechanics. We're going to bring up some chase mechanics. I did look up a couple of other games, Pathfinder, Knights Black Agents. Someone posted in the Facebook group an idea for chase mechanics in 2D20 Conan. And overall, there seems to be a theme when it comes to chase mechanics. But I did want to give out a shout out to Keto and Joseph Keenan, Key Money. They put in very brilliant things in the comment section after watching the videos, and basically just talked about it, things in general. Yeah, Alex. Alex says, "Is it me or is it a slow week?" I think it's just because of daylight savings time. We have both, here in the States, people are getting adjusted, and then it's a different time frame for people overseas because there's changes in different manners. Theirs was it was like a week before in like England or something. And if I'm not mistaken, not every place observes time change. So I think that's really what's going on. And heck, as we get closer and closer to the big holiday season, I think people start to get a little burnout with it. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong, but I do think it's a little bit slow. But that being said, yeah, I'm still going to chug along. I'm still going to be here. So for those who want to catch me on the flip side and whatnot, yeah, it's going to be posted. So I don't want anybody to feel like they're obligated to be part and parcel of what's going on. But in our yesterday was Monster Monday, and we talked about monsters and NPCs and running from them or towards them, or ways to create situations in which a chase is inevitable. And of course, tomorrow, World Building Wednesday, we're going to talk about settings that include chases. Like, why do they have chases? Or maybe you guys designing a setting that has chases in it because you want to have them in it. And of course, we're going to talk about as well classic settings that have chases, like Star Wars. Heck, Lord of the Rings has chases in it. Those kind of things. So yeah, we'll talk about those. And then of course, my favorite will be Third Pillar Thursday, where we talk about the environment and a ton of hazards and obstacles and such for chases. And then Future Friday, which will be sci-fi chases. So but today we're just gonna we're gonna talk a little bit about some mechanical things. Yeah, sure, we'll frame them around Dungeons and Dragons, but I believe we'll be able to use them for other systems. So in my estimation, when it comes to a chase, there are a couple of variables, and strangely enough, speed really isn't one of them. Or rather, I would say it's all about relative speed, not actual speed. So let me give you an example. Two individuals, let's say a police officer chasing after a criminal, or PCs are detectives and are chasing after a criminal, or the PCs are spies and they're running from guards, or two PCs are riding horses and they're riding side by side against an enemy, or there's speeding cars going down a highway and two cars are driving side by side. It's not about the speed at which they're going individually, but it's about the relative speed and distance between both the PCs and the adversaries. So most chase mechanics really don't worry about how many miles an hour someone's going. It's more about increasing or decreasing the relative distance between the chase individuals, and usually that involves some kind of skill mechanic. There's some kind of role, and you will really want to have a way to measure the relative distance, and it doesn't necessarily need to be in feet or meters or miles or anything like that, but just a relative distance of you need 2 successes to close the gap, or the other person needs 1 success to increase the gap between the adversary and the goal and what have you. Yeah, Zalis is slow week as well. Yeah, I believe that really is the case. Time change and tired people. It's one thing to get up in when it's dark outside. It's another thing to get up when it's dark outside and you realize like there's additional dark levels to it, because people are kind of enjoying their extra hour of sleep, and so yeah, I'm not the most important person in their lives. But like I said, they can catch me on the flip, maybe at lunchtime or driving down the road or something like that. Deadman Storyteller says that was what Shadowrun did for 3rd edition. Exactly. It's not. I know sometimes because of how we imagine things, that we worry about a person on a motorcycle driving 120 miles an hour, but really it's the relative distance between then and now, right? It's the can I catch up with them in 3 rounds, or will it only take me 1 round, right? And so you have factors now how fast someone moves versus someone else, like a horse and carriage and someone riding on a regular, like a single horse, may have a speed advantage to catch up, but measuring the actual speed really is unimportant. Foolish Kiwi says, I missed out yesterday due to time change, but I'm here today. Yay! Yeah. Azala says, Atomic Highway has it on a factor of 5. The lead vehicle is at 0, a close chaser is at -5, etc. And you can absolutely do that if you have any kind of 99% of role-playing games have modifiers, right? So you can either make up a modifier and apply it in a positive or negative manner, and you can set the objective at a 0, and then everyone else either modifies up or down from that, or just use player character modifiers, whether it's driving or animal handling or riding or their athletic score or what have you, and then use that as a modifier to range up or down, whether there's some kind of difficulty. For example, these could also be skill challenges, right? Hey, my character. Sorry about that. My PC is trying to catch up with the Minotaur that has the princess over his shoulder. Okay, well, your challenge is their dexterity score, right? They're running away from you. You're trying to catch up, and then the Minotaur, of course, is trying to run away. So we do a skill challenge. The Minotaur gets to roll against your dexterity score or constitution score if you're if this is an endurance race or something, and then compare the differences, right? Whoever wins, either the space doesn't change, the space increases, or the space decreases. Now, there are other modifiers for a chase too, right? Sometimes it's not catching up to or running away from an opponent, in which case you should have a standard to succeed in either one. It takes 5 successes from where you're at to catch up to the enemy, or it takes a complete 5 successes to span the distance from the city guard you're trying to run away from, to lose them and then have them, be confused as to where you went. You go over the horizon and you're gone or something. Foolish Kiwi says you could also give them a plus modifier based on a character's speed if it's on foot. Yeah, if someone is naturally faster than someone else, they would probably get a bonus on that, right? And then if they're slower, they get some kind of penalty. Of course, 5th edition has advantage and disadvantage. You could do that. Or let's say you're doing, I'm making off the top of my head, let's say you have to complete 5 successes. You could grant someone 1 or 2 successes in the chase because they have the advantage. Someone is in a sports car, someone else is in an ice cream truck. Hey, the sports car, you jump in the sports car, or the the high performance motorcycle, you get 2 successes automatically to get to wherever you need to go. Um, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Of course, Foolish Kiwi says, yeah, if that's the thing in the system you use, absolutely. Azala says to gain on a vehicle, you have to roll for driving. The amount of hits is added to the vehicle's speed, which then bumps up the car's position by that number. A 2 hits on a speed 2 car means is at -1. Yeah, absolutely. And you can do this whether it's like Atomic Highway, whether it's Car Wars, and you don't necessarily need to use vehicles, right? If you're riding on dinosaurs, you're riding on giant eagles, your mine carts in the underworld or something, right? You're driving something, you're running across rooftops, you're running through alleyways, what have you. You can range up and down those modifiers, but sometimes a chase doesn't necessarily mean catching up to or losing someone. Sometimes it could be everyone getting away from something. A bomb goes off and everyone's trying to run away from the shockwave, or there's an avalanche and everyone's trying to run towards shelter. Or, there's a flash flood and everyone's trying to get the high ground, right? So there could also be a time factor. You've got 3 rounds to get the high ground. And if you fail, that cuts off your time. Oh, you failed? Okay, you've only got 2 rounds left. You've got to make these rolls, So you can also put in a time factor where what is I'm gonna go way back in time. Speed Racer. There was a race where that this mountain pass opened only once every 100 years, and all the racers were together, and they had to drive through the mountain pass. And they drive in the mountain, drive through the mountain, and had to come out the other side. And if they didn't get out the other side, the classic closing sphincter, you know what I mean? The closing door, closing wall, closing gate, whatever the case may be, you have to run and slide up under the closing gate before it slams shut. It's the Indiana Jones reaching his hand back and getting his whip right before it slams shut on his forearm. There could be you've got 3 chances to get there. And if you fail, that puts you back. So now you've only got 2 chances, but you have some kind of difficulty or something. Oh yeah, Tesla Ranger says chase between the PCs and a burning trail of gunpowder. Hell yeah, it's the slow motion. Someone lights a cigarette and drops it on the ground, or lights the wooden match and then drops it into the gunpowder, and you see it going towards the barrel, and everyone's like running for cover. Azala says outrun the sandstorm. It's at -40, moving an automatic 5 per round. Good luck. Yeah, you could put like something is moving towards the PCs, and so you have to. Hell, you could even say, okay, you're going to take. I'm making up something like you're going to take 100 points of damage, and for each success, which means it's essentially is how fast you're running away. For each success, it drops by 20 points or 10 points, and so you only have so many times, so many rolls to get away from it, and you want to be successful when you make those rolls because it's going to reduce the damage. And so as the further away you get, the better it is. It's the detectives go into the house, the abandoned house, find out that it's been wired for explosives, and then they run outside of the porch yelling at everyone to get away. Azala says I'm getting some pretty bad lag. I don't. Let me see if I can see this here. No, I'm taking a look at myself on the lag. It does happen. I'm not getting that though. Not like I used to. Yeah, sorry. Zymox says I was too. Yeah, Tesla Ranger's getting lag. Says I was, but I've been having problems on the sites. Yeah, same here. YouTube. I've been getting that too. Like it'll show up on it. It records normally, but it's broadcasting strangely enough. But no, I'm still getting. Is my audio coming through? Just let me know if the audio is coming through as well. Yeah. I'm not getting the lag. I'm not sure why. It's stupid. need to go to Zoom, Twitch, or something like that. Yeah, JRP says slight dropout, but it's better now. All right. Foolish Kiwi says YouTube's been doing a lot of live stream system updates lately. Most streams have an issue that I watch. Yeah. All right. So back to the chase. All right. So we've got two systems here. Catching up to someone or running away from someone, or getting the hell out of the way of something that's about to befall the other people. All right. So now that we have that set up, so we can kind of modulate how we want to run a chase and how fast we want the chase to be. A chase, and this was mentioned in the comments yesterday in YouTube, a chase doesn't necessarily need to be high speed as long as it is high tension. So take your typical alien invasion / post-apocalyptic / monstrous creature thing, where there's no safe place to go. There's temporary safety, but never any true safe place for you to be. And it could be just a matter of the PCs running from safety to safety to get to where they need to go. For example, let's take the movie A Quiet Place, right? It's in A Quiet Place, you have these creatures that are like hyper attuned to any kind of sound. And so it's just a matter of a ton of patience and then making a run for it to get somewhere else. The classic zombie invasion, zombie apocalypse trope is basically PCs running from place to place, trying to get from safety to safety. And you could do instead of rolling for 280 zombies for initiative, instead, what it could be is you have 5 hours to get to a place of safety, because the zombie horde is coming towards you and will overtake you and cause you to not be able to maneuver your vehicle around, or drop your supplies or something like that. Yeah, Foolish Q says, we hear you just fine. It's just a second or two frozen every few minutes. I can't stand looking at myself in time delay, but there's my stupid face right there. Well, anyway, okay, so let's get on back. Alex C says, enclosed corridors with so many ways for something to get you. Yes, that's an absolute possibility. And Azal says, I still love zombies. I don't care how overused they are. Yeah, they're awesome. I love zombies. And depending on which kind of zombies you use, still the fast ones, the slow ones, they're all fun. But along with the chase, the handsome face, kind of haggard. I don't know about how handsome I am, but kind of beat up. But in a chase, the other thing we can add to it is let me throw out some options for a chase. For example, in many chases, yeah, kind of gray beard, neck bearded and rugged. Whatever, you guys. Yeah, thanks, Zala. hey, I'm not the only one with a beard there, dude. So along with the chase, we have to have our hazards and our obstacles, right? We can have like a random list. We could make up some, as we go along, but we might want to write some details. We could even have like a randomizer, like so many. What I mean by it is that there may be a difficulty to overcome the obstacle, and then a separate thing, that punishment that happens to you if you don't overcome the obstacle, right? It's the skill roll to avoid it, and then or attribute roll or what have you, and then there's the punishment you receive if you don't overcome it. So it could be, perfect example, car chase, driving urban roads, speed down the road, and your classic fruit cart is in the way. You have to drive up on a sidewalk and hit the fruit cart. Okay, so maybe the fruit cart isn't such a big deal, but maybe it will obscure your vision, because the fruit's going to blast all over your windshield or something like that. So it could be, let's use 5th edition, right? It's a DC of 10 to punch through the fruit cart. Okay, but if you fail, because you can't see, you're going to have disadvantage on your next maneuver roll, something like that, right? And it could be anything. Your vehicle catches on fire, it gets a flat tire, you slam into a fire hydrant or a pole, you go out of control and you're going to flip your car or something like that. It could be very many things, and describing. The main thing is having a really good descriptor in terms of the hazards that are going to be incorporated. Now, Pathfinder does a chase system where they do a dual path chase system. So in short, what they do is their chase description is that you have 2 options basically every round or every period of time. Every period of time, you have 2 obstacles, and the person running in the chase has the choice of going through one obstacle or the other. Usually 2 bad choices. One might be easier to get through, but you get hit harder. One might be very difficult to maneuver through, but the punishment for failing isn't that bad. And usually that's what ends up happening. Foolish Kiwi says, poor fruit cart owner, so many wasted apples. Those don't grow in trees, you know. Oh, wait. Maybe they... Yeah, always the fruit cart owner. Or now they have gone towards the homeless collecting recycles in the shopping cart person. That's a thing. And now before the fruit cart, there was the pane of glass carriers. That was a thing. But yeah, there's always the chase trope, man. You're like hitting that fruit cart and having it blast everywhere. It's always funny. Yeah, Deadman says that Mythbusters did a fruit cart in one of their episodes. I'm sure they did. They probably wasted so much fruit in that. As always, at least it's not the cabbage guy. He gets enough trouble. Ooh, cabbages. Foolish Kiwi says that's exactly who I thought of. That was cabbage guy. Yeah. Ooh, cabbages. I don't know why we beat up the fruit, man. It's just it's terrible. No one ever hits the brand new Apple iPhone guy at kiosk or the hot dog vendor or anything like that, right? And then of course you have to have the woman pushing the child across the street, because of course, well, first of all, you never hit the woman or the child. I mean, you just don't do that. But it's the woman and the child, and you absolutely positively have to avoid them. And as also as Avatar: The Last Airbender's turn on the fruit cart. My cabbages. There it is. Yeah, you always have to have something like that. And so now I don't want to say one issue. One thing you really have to think about when you're having like all these hazards and obstacles in a way is, will that automatically stop the chase short? Right. So Jared says the Pathfinder's chase is 2 paths skill challenges. You get a scene and get told to improvise your way through the scene. For example, crowded street in a parade versus rickety rooftops, or raging river versus thorny thicket. Right. And I like the idea of like a 2-path system, just because it allows some variation. And just like Jared describes, JP says it's fun to nat 1, which sets you backwards in the chase. Yeah, absolutely. It's like you don't want the chase to stop, but you do want the chase to be affected, especially if you clearly have someone who's faster than the other. So let's take the example. JP brings up the crowded street in a parade versus rickety rooftops thing, and there's a young kid is a pickpocket, right? And the kid's super quick. He's not real tough or anything, but he's super quick. So he pickpockets, he runs away. He's got a lead. He's got the advantage. And so there's a crowded street with a parade. The PCs have to choose, okay, do I push through the parade, which might be, let's say charisma checks, right? It's the charisma check of, doing the pardon me, excuse me, push through the crowd without them basically like looking at you and giving you, the middle finger and closing in on you. versus, let's say, an acrobatics check or some kind of dexterity or acrobatics check to go across like the rickety rooftops and run above the parade, running across the the porch tops or the tents or what have you. And so let's take the same example with the raging river and thorny thicket that JP brings up. You have a raging river, and maybe you're trying to make your way up or down a raging river versus running along the side of the river through the thorny thickets that are on the side of the river. And so one might be better than the other. So let's say it's easier to go through the raging river, but if you slip, you're going to get pulled downstream versus the thorny thicket where it might be harder to push through it. But if you fail, you just get slowed down. There's no way you're going to get pulled in reverse. You know what I mean? And so you really don't want to stop the chase, but you do want to have things that'll slow people down, cause them some injury, dropping items, losing a backpack or something like that, or what have you. Sorry. So unprofessional. Okay, back to the chase. So, for example, let's take Indiana Jones, very classic thing, right? He's chasing after he's chasing after Nazis. They've got the Covenant or whatever it is that they're chasing after, and the Ark of the Covenant, and he's chasing after them, and he's riding on a motorcycle or a truck, and he's jumping inside and punching people in the throat and throwing them off the trucks and stuff like that, and he gets knocked off the truck. What happens? Well, does he get thrown off the truck and then can't catch them any longer? No, he's holding on to the side, or he's doing the ladder climb underneath the truck to climb back on. So it would behoove you to have rules where if you're having especially a high-speed chase or an aerial chase or something like that allows people to like grab on with their fingertips, i.e. Falling prone or becoming stunned, but they're still in the chase. It's getting punched in the throat, and the PC gets stunned as they slide down the airplane wing, and there's a chance they'll fall off, but really what ends up happening is they lose one of their actions or something, while the enemy gets closer and closer to getting inside of the airplane door or something like that, right? Alex, he says, how about a chase is downriver on the trail, literally going with the flow might actually help the chaser? Absolutely. And putting in those modifiers, like let's say you're going downriver, right? Instead of going upriver, you're going downriver, and you're in a raft or a boat or a kayak or something like that. It could be that, of course, the people flowing downriver are going much, much faster than the ones on the side of the river. But because the river rapids are so bad, it's harder to navigate, and you may, flip your kayak over or get thrown into like a back-flowing whirlpool, or hit a rocky outcrop and bang your head or something like that, or lose your paddle or become stunned, right? So you could write a couple of details in the chase, like, okay, they're on a highway. It's the Matrix. The Matrix chase in the second movie where they're jumping from car to car. They're having a martial arts fight in the car. They're having fights on top of trucks. They're riding motorcycles the wrong way down the highway, and you're writing these little notes like, okay, to jump from one car to another, that's probably a difficulty of this. If they miss, what was it? Was it Lawrence Fishburne got kicked off of a truck and landed on the hood of the Camaro or something like that, landed on the hood, and then Jada Pinkett like hits the gas and drives faster so that he can like jump back up on top of the truck or something like that. So you could have these things where it's not cheating to allow the players to continue in the fight. It's just it's not save or die, right? You can get rid of the one save, you're dead and you get run over. Maybe it's like 3 failures, like a death save. You get 3 failures and you're out of the chase. But if you get 1 or 2, you just have setbacks. JP says the best chase I remember playing was the classic chase the bad guy through the train cabooses with all sorts of weird and wonderful carriages to deal with. Oh man, Snowpiercer. Oh, that movie. Wow, that what a weird and bizarre and strange. But yeah, hell, that's a classic chase. That's a Hollywood a Western classic chase, chasing people through the trains, the trains, cars where you have like the dinner train, the train where they're drinking, the caboose. You have to have a train, the engine room with like the coal firing steam engine. You have to have the caboose. Maybe there's a game going on, like gambling or something like that. People are playing cards. You have to have a place for all the baggage, and then of course the chase happens through the cars, on top of the cars, and hanging off the side of the train, as well as the train going over bridges, through tunnels. So yeah, of course that's a classic trope, and there's a reason why it's a classic trope. Zala says, or chasing the person who got swept away in the raging river, trying to find something to throw to them to rescue them while being chased. And that's absolutely that's where that's my thing. Like use that environment. Oh damn it! It's someone the dwarven hero gets punched in the throat and he falls into the river. He starts getting swept away, and his best friend the elf runs downstream, running along the edge of the stream to try to find maybe a large branch or something to reach out to the dwarf, but they're also being attacked by the goblin horde, right? So what do? Do you not save your friend from drowning who's getting swept away, or do you pause long enough to save him, knowing that you're going to be a target for the goblin hordes and their blow darts or something that are poisoned, right? So it's setting up that tension, setting up the chase, and having things happen to them along the way. And follow me on this. Just hear me out. As I said before, speed, the actual speed you're going really doesn't matter. It's the relative speed. So, for example, Azala brings up the fact of an ally falls into a raging river, and you're being chased on the banks, but you also want to save your ally, and they're getting further and further away from you. What do? It's also a matter that think about it like this. A chase is really the individuals going through one obstacle at a time. It's almost as if you're standing still and the obstacles are coming past you, and you have to react to the things coming past you. Let me give you an example. Let's take a amusement park ride. The amusement park ride where you go into like the haunted house, or the laser tag rides or something at an amusement park, and you're in a little cart, and the cart moves from area to area to show you things in the amusement ride. Okay. A chase is very much like that, where if you're in a car chase, it's like, okay, traffic has stopped up ahead. You have a choice of driving up on the sidewalk or leaping over top of the traffic because there's one of those tractor trailers that's empty that carries cars on it, and you can drive up that ramp and go over. Which one are you going to do? And then the next scene could be there's a dead end ahead, and you have to make a sharp right turn to get through, to get past it and drive down a very narrow alley. And then maybe the next part is the classic drawbridge that's starting to lift up, and you have to jump across the drawbridge or something. Of course, the fruit cart, right? Or it's there's slower traffic, there's slower traffic coming home from work, and you have to snake your way through the cars on the highway to get out of the way, right? And it's basically like one hazard after another, and how you handle those hazards, almost as if you were standing still, but the hazards are coming towards you, like in a video game, and you have to maneuver your way through the hazards, like in in any number of classically simple racing games, where the racing game doesn't stop, but you end up making left or right turns to get through the racing. JP says it actually works a bit like Snakes and Ladders as far as how it progresses for each character in the scene. Absolutely, there's very much like Snakes and Ladders, right? You're trying to you go up the ladders, but the snakes push you back down, and so it's a matter of, hey, I have the lead, but oh no, traffic has stopped me ahead of time, and the enemy behind me is trying to catch up, and they're coming. They took a shortcut through an alleyway to get to me. Very much Shoots and Ladders, very much one step ahead, two steps back, and who is the person that gets there? Alex, he says, there's a chance that you won't go through the ramp. It might be closed off. Probably trying to say like closed. You're probably on your phone. You're probably saying like closed off from a particular distance. So I can't spell for crap at the moment. You're fine. No, you're absolutely fine. But yeah, I think the idea is not to shut the chase down, unless of course it's going on too long and you're like, okay, the chase has got to stop. I think it's the idea of creating dynamic obstacles to maneuver around. So it's not just, oh, you hit a dead end, you're done after one round. It's more like, hey, there's a dead end ahead of you, but you could drive through the parking garage or drive over the, you know what I mean? It's the continuation of the chase and having people do things, whether it's like, hey, you could drive your car and jump from the parking garage onto the roof of the building across the way, I mean, and having fun with it, right? That's what I think it is. JP says, but unlike Shoots and Ladders, your GM will reward creative thinking and probably give you some bonuses to your role. I would. If somebody came up with some great ideas, like, hell yeah, like Azala said, I'm going to take my car and hit something so that I'm on two wheels so that I can maneuver between a tight obstacle. So my sports car is on two wheels and slips through so the other people get stuck behind me. I'm like, hell yeah. It sounds awesome. Azal says, in quote, what is the most Dukes of Hazzard thing I can do at this moment? Hell, absolutely, right? Deadman says, drive the tank through the obstacle. Driving your car through an obstacle, maneuvering around it. And there's even a chance of like, what's the way? Using the obstacle that you go past to, hey kitty, using the obstacle you go past to make it a harder obstacle for the person who's chasing you, right? So your sports car can't drive through the obstacle, but sure as hell that tank can, or the tank you're chasing. Fast and Furious. Pick a random Fast and Furious movie, and there you have an excellent chase. You have everything. Hell, Fast and Furious had everything from tanks to nuclear subs to what have you. I mean, it was always cops and other vehicles and using stealth by hiding your vehicle in around other places. And I mean, it was so much of that. Alex C says, don't forget to install that horn when you go flying off a bridge, like, yeah, hell yeah, like, yeah. Yeah, the horn comes standard issue. Yeah, oh man, it's so funny because I love the Dukes of Hazzard, and I think so many people did, and we just never bothered wondering about the General Lee flag that was painted across the top. I mean, today you would never be able to get that show off the air because people would just be triggered because, as we all know, the show had nothing to do with like it was all Southern pride, but there was no everyone else hate. You know what I mean? And despite the fact that the General Lee flag, has the it's got some pretty harsh racial undertones to it. I still love that show. I'm not going to lie about that. It was great. Sliding, always wanted to slide across the hood of a car. That was so sweet. Jared P says, of course, the result of a chase is the determining factor of what the finale will be like. Are the PCs too late? Do they show up at a disadvantage in combat? Do they get an advantage when they're early? Yeah, absolutely. And coming up with the win, like the 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 standard by which the PCs succeed or fail. Are they driving away from a volcano and their vehicle gets caught in the, pyroclast or something? Are they driving away from a collapsing building and it gets, crushed and they're stuck inside of it while their allies have already driven away and they have to go back and save them? Or do they get away and the building collapsed behind them, but there's no way for them to go back where they came from or something? Do they arrive in time to defuse the bomb? Do the PCs, are they too late to defuse the bomb and the bomb goes off? Are they fast enough to get away from the guards that have been chasing them after they snuck into the secret hidden, enclave of the bad guy, and they're like 007 agents or something? Do they get away? Or are they too late and the enemy's on their tail and able to track them, right? It's what are the win conditions and how cool are the win conditions? I would absolutely suggest, if you're a game master, like, steal the hell out of all the classic tropes, go all the movies, and absolutely steal from your player characters. If they come up with a great idea and yours sucks, like, throw yours out, put it in your back pocket, save it for later, use whatever they came up with. As Alice says, the freeze frame is harder to do. The free. I get it. The freeze frame, jumping through the air and ching, ching, ching. Yeah. Oh man, there's a Feng Shui and Hong Kong action theater role-playing games have things like that. It's pretty cool. Flashback scenes. What's another one in HCAT? Hong Kong action theater has overdubbing and things like that. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Very, very much movie tropes for your special abilities in that game. It's really nice. As always, just remember, the real General Lee was very much anti-slavery and lived in the North. He only fought for the South because that was his home. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not don't make it seem like I'm criticizing Dukes of Hazzard at all. And it never was a show like that. The show itself. Alex C, roll that percentile when you slide across the hood. Your pants get caught in a wiper or something. Bad bad roll. Like, yeah, you're no fun being the hero in your tight jeans and they're ripped up the back. Like, yeah, that's also time to drop that link. Maybe. Okay. What time is it? Jared P says, I'm pretty sure the flag was just a generic rebellious symbol. It was is aesthetic choice, not a racial one. Absolutely. I'm not I'm not taking us down that rabbit hole at all. I was not attempting to go there. Maybe I should have just never said nothing. maybe I should have just been like, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, chases are an awesome thing to use, and I know we're talking about like car chases, and there we go. I'll put it in there. Although this may not be a regular thing, because for some reason we're getting like, I don't know if someone's got like a bot opened up or something, and they're like looking for I don't know, links or something to get into. I don't know. I find that to be very bizarre to me. People jumping into like live chats that, whatever, what have you. Okay. Another one last thing to think about for a chase, of course, with obstacles, when you arrive, like JP was saying, like, do you arrive in some kind of disadvantage? Are you exhausted? You're low on weaponry. You arrive stunned. You're injured when you arrive, or the opposite would be like you arrive in time. You arrive so that you get to the location quickly. There's Kitty. Yeah, what's going on there, man? Yeah. maybe you arrive with enough time to prepare yourself because the enemy is right on your tail and you've gotten so much space that you can take up like maybe defensive positions or something. So it would be good that to have some kind of win condition that benefits the players, or benefits the enemy if they win, by having enough gap or space, a relative space between the two when they get there. So I don't know. It's the let's take medieval world, right? Like maybe the PCs get to an abandoned fort, and if they get there fast enough, they have enough minutes to set up some kind of defense or something. Or it could be even a longer race where it's a race against time to get to a fort to set it up defensively, and so they get an extra hour for as much space they've put between their enemies to set up like spikes or fake dummies up on the battlements or something like that, and but if they didn't get there fast enough, then of course they jump through they go through the front gate, they close it, and then boom, the enemy's right there, and damn it, they didn't have enough time to prepare.
It's like get to the village before the big bad destroys it, kind of thing.
Exactly. And do they, do the PCs get there early enough to like wake everybody up and get them out of the village, or get them to safety and the PCs stay behind, or anything like that? Foolish Cutie says a better way to do it would be to private message the people you are having on Discord link, planning ahead of time, maybe, so no bots get in. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to do that. Yeah. JP says a chase scene, a race riot. You got to roll multiple charisma saves against the demagogues and will saves against insanity. Probably too spicy for the stream though. Don't want YouTube bots to flag. yeah. But you know what? I think the charisma thing in navigating a chase is actually a really good thing, because a big complaint about many role-playing games is having useless, and fill in the blank, like useless stats or useless skills. And you could have a chase where you get to use those things you don't normally use, like using a charisma save to get through an obstacle rather than a classic like dex save or strength or something. For example, the big barbarian could use their strength to push through a crowd, but it'll probably piss them off, versus the charismatic bard who's like, moving through the crowd and pardon me, excuse me, hey, you look good. Pardon me, excuse me. Like, hey, don't I know you from somewhere? I will have to talk later. You know what I mean? And sneaks through the crowd like we talked about before. Whereas the huge barbarian, sure, they can fling people from side to side, but they're also going to draw attention to themselves. JP says another really good thing to do is to put a sand timer on the table or a digital countdown clock. Diffusing a bomb is kind of like a chase. I would say, yeah. Sorry.
I've seen that done with puzzles, but oftentimes it's like, well, if there's not enough time, what then if they fail? Like, do they just die or what?
Right. Yeah, you really, I mean, if you're going to bother having it, hey, Prue, yeah, I joined late and I see a cat. Yeah. The one, I'm not going to call it a problem because it's easy to get around, but it's what happens if they fail, right? It's let's defuse the bomb. Oh, we can't defuse the bomb. Do the PCs die? Like, well, you don't want to do that, but what was it? Lethal Weapon. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, they tried to defuse a bomb, and then I think it was the very beginning of the movie, and then all of a sudden they're like, do you cut the red wire or the blue wire? And of course they're arguing over it, and then the next scene you see, they're running out of the building, they're telling everybody to run, and then the bomb goes off anyway, and then the whole building collapses, right? So you could play the you need to defuse the bomb, but you failed, you've got 3 seconds to get out of there. Right, which is another chase, or chase to run away.
It's like it's going down, and then you cut it, and then it goes down faster,
right? And you're like, oh shit, we got to get out of here. So you don't. pretty sure you don't want to do a save or die thing. Like, oh, you make one roll to defuse the bomb. You failed. You're dead. Well, let me take that back. If you're playing that kind of game, you can, but it's not very fun. But if you really want to ramp up that tension, sure. It's like, well,
like it could work in a Call of Cthulhu game.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu would work with that. What's Delta Green? It's like a paramilitary Cthulhu type game. Is like that where they're like armed to the teeth fighting like evil and such. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to have that kind of chase, and even the slow chase works if it's done right. Where slow chase meaning like it's the end of the world. It's like a post-apocalyptic place, and the PCs are trying to collect as many survivors as possible. But there's a ocean liner that's going to, like a cargo ship that's going to leave port at a particular 3 days from now, and so the PCs have to get there in 3 days. And hilarity ensues when they keep hitting obstacles on their way to get there, but they're trying to collect as many survivors as possible to get to the ship, because the ship is absolutely positively going to leave in 3 days. You know what I mean?
It kind of reminds me of the Amazon, that one zombie film they were going to make into a show, but it failed. Zombieland.
Yes, Zombieland.
It's like the start of the show where it's like they're trying to hunt down survivors, and then they just all keep dying and dying in hilarious ways.
JP got me on something. Alex C said you had 1 minute left, cut the wrong wire, the time drops to 10 seconds. Yeah, absolutely. You could, the failures drop the time. So hey, they got 1 minute left. You've got 5 chances. Oh, you failed. You've only got 2 chances left. It could cut down the time. Like, oh shit. Yeah. JP says a chase scene can also be a montage, like a training sequence, or maybe an investigation sleuthing around the place. I love using television and movie tropes. The montage, the quick cut scenes where it's like the let's say the players are detectives and they're trying to hunt down a serial killer, right? The montage is used quite often in that, where they talk to a neighbor, they go to a warehouse, and normally you'll see them like at the bottom of the screen, it'll go they're down in West Virginia, and then they go to New Orleans, and then they go to Montana and stuff, and it's always like, you see like a little 10-second blurb of them like flying on a plane or driving across land, and then they go to different places investigating people, digging up bodies, going back to the coroner's office to get more details. Then they go back to the detective's police station to kibitz a little bit, and then they go back out to California, and it's like boom, 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 scene after scene after scene, as they start to catch up to the serial killer, because they have to save someone, because the serial killer holds them for 2 days or something before doing their dirty work. And I think that's an excellent tool to use. Excellent. Blades in the Dark does something similar. That and another game called Leverage, where they do something similar, except they do it as a flashback. But I like the idea of the montage, where you can set up like 5 montage scenes, and they make the characters like role play in them, and then they make their skill rolls. And the more accurate or more successful they are through the montage, the faster they get to where they need to be, like going after the serial killer or whatever, finding the bomb or something. And then the more failures they get along the way, they still get to go ahead, but they just get there at a much later than they would have wanted. You know what I mean? What is it? Zymox says the bomb could always be a decoy, and another one goes off somewhere else. Still gets a sense of loss for failure without killing the PCs. Yeah.
Could have like a Dark Knight kind of thing where.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bomb gets ready to go off. Someone's got to sacrifice themselves, or the villain, does the classic threat of, if you don't do this, a bomb will go off some other random place. Oh shit. Die Hard 2.
Oh yeah,
Driving through, running, doing that running chase through New York to get to the different phones, and you've got to get to this other phone in 20 minutes, and they're like, "There's no way to get to the phone in 20 minutes in New York." And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to drive through Central Park." That's a great. That movie has some great chase scenes in it.
or the classic like, well, you have to now choose like you can go to this bomb, but if you do, this bomb will blow up. So
Yep. Yep. Or the bombs on a vehicle of some sort, a plane, a truck, what have you.
get below 30 and boom. Like,
Yep, and you've got to drive it fast enough to get out of the city, or fly the plane far enough away or something, and then jump out of it or whatever. And so like it's always like a white panel van or something, and you had to jump out of the white panel van and have it go into the river before it explodes. So that could be, and plenty of obstacles there, right? The nuns with the orphan children in the bus. You gotta maneuver around them, because you never hit the nuns and the orphan children,
in
right?
one of the transporter movies, Jason Statham notices a bomb on the bottom of his car, so he hits a ramp and flips and yanks it off with the crane hook somehow and lands perfectly. Like,
That's right. He sure did.
yeah.
Oh man, so foolish. I mean, I think sometimes like I don't know if that makes perfect sense, but it is kind of funny. Like that's pretty much
Yeah.
that's not even, I don't even want to say realistic, because none of it's realistic, but it's like that's a little ridiculous. I'm going to flip my car around and knock the bomb off with a hook while my car spins through the air. It's like, whatever, dude. Still love Jason Statham though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's kick-ass. I can't wait till Hobbs and Shaw, the movie Hobbs and Shaw, comes out. Let's see. JP says it's still a series of events that have to be dealt with in a linear order, but the events take place weeks apart. Yeah. The classic television 1 hour detective, whether it's CSI or NCIS or something like that. I mean, in many ways, that's what they do, right? It's an investigation that could take time, but they do the montage. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to investigate these people. We're going to talk to this people. We're going to go back to the crime scene, and we come back to and then it's boom, 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 boom.
Around the World in 80 Days.
Yep. that's a chase.
Yeah.
Hey, you've got 80 days to do it, and hilarity ensues. and what a great way to throw in like a bunch of like really off the wall like cultural things, because on their range around the world, they went to different places. They went to like India and China, and then into Europe, and then South America, whatever. And you could throw in a whole bunch of things that make sense to where they have to go. Yeah, very steampunkish. Zymox says, if they succeed, the original bomb was real and they get the success. I like that. Little quantum ogre there. Right?
If they fail, they don't die, but something bad happens.
Bad happens. But if they succeed, that was the bomb and they get the success of doing it. Absolutely, positively never tell your players that you did that.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself. Hey, big note out there. If you see this video, don't tell your players you saw this and keep that to yourself. No, and I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? But yeah, you want to keep that to yourself, because it may make them feel like they weren't
like they weren't in charge, basically. Like,
right. But in essence, though, like, you don't want the game to be over, but you do want I mean, if they fail and a bomb goes off somewhere else, they failed.
Yeah.
But their characters, now they have to deal with the consequences of whatever happened after that. You know what I mean? Uh, Alex, see, the timer ends up being a timed coffee maker as a decoy, but the bomb wasn't real in the first place. Yeah, you could. Yeah,
It's the egg timer.
yeah, you could do that if that's the kind of enemy. Like if they're kind of like ridiculous that way, but you want to be careful about the gotchas. You know what I mean? Like that sounds like a Joker thing, but not everyone would do that.
Now, if it
Um,
was like set up to an original like Rolex watch, that's something interesting. And like every bomb is a Rolex. Like how?
yeah, man, we're getting into like detective work now. Um, Jared P says good long-term chase scenes make the cure for the disease, right? Castaway Boy Scout survival until rescued, globetrotting for information, and building a death ray on the moon. Yeah, you, uh, those are like long chase scenes where like the bad guys building the death ray on the moon, and you're trying to track down what's going on. Then you find out that they're actually building a death ray on the moon. Then you have to find out how to get to the moon, and then sabotage the death ray on the moon. And you're the PCs are like, special agents going through trying to do that. Globetrotting is another thing.
XCOM 2 does something similar. The game where it's like, well, they're researching this thing. If they finish researching it, game over. So it's your job to get to them before they can finish that research and stop them.
Yeah. um the Jason Bourne movies does they do the globe trotting information thing,
Yeah.
where Jason Bourne is going from like Prague to France to Switzerland and stuff, and then coming to New York and then Washington D.C. Like, and they did a really good job in keeping the tension up, even though we all know that, like, flying, getting on an airplane and flying is like one of the slowest, most boring things. It's like waiting in line, going through security,
Taking off the shoes off. Yeah.
taking off the shoes, right? But in the movie, they've got the music going, they got the montage. He has this like really weird like fast walk that he does, and long coat and the fast walk, and he's going around places. So yeah, I think that absolutely fits with like the long term chase scene, because you could just play, you just flash from one to one. Oh, you're in Rome, you have to go to I don't know, someplace in England or whatever, and hey, Jason Bourne, you got to make your skill roll here to get away from the people that are hunting you, and flash over to England, right? You got on the plane, boom, you land, you get away, and all the stuff in between, we're just gonna go with, ignore that part. Making the cure for a disease could be a thing where you're hunting down like patient zero, or hunting down like special chemicals to use for the cure. Yeah, JRP says it's a great way to abstract long and complicated events. Hey, babe. Bye.
Hope you're enjoying the cat candy, Prue.
The cat candy. Falling asleep. Where's Scott Posters? That's the character getting a nat 20, of course. Nat 20. Bomb wasn't real.
I like to sign that. Don't tell your players anything ever. Just sit there in silence and stare at them for 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I think we hit the hour mark. So, we came up with a bunch of different ways of thinking about a chase, whether it's like slow or fast. Yeah, someone thinks, yeah, it's kitties. I've got one of those like automatic like kitty litter boxes and stuff, and man, they drop one in there and jump out, and it's just like, oof.
This guy's breath smells so bad. Like, I have the worst breath I have ever smelled out of any animal. I don't know why.
You leave the kitty alone. He's pretty kitty. Scott Post says, race around the globe to get the parts to the weather dominator before Cobra. Each fail, the party will have to break in somewhere and get that one back. Well, of course you want to continue. If they fail, you got to continue continue it further on. I mean, One of my favorite shows was 24. They had a nuclear bomb go off on that show. Um, what's his name? Jack Bauer had to race around. The bad guy wanted Jack Bauer to put a bullet in the head of a guy, and it was the classic, we don't negotiate with terrorists, but they were negotiating with the terrorists, and he was trying to come up with every way to avoid having to kill one of his, I don't want to say best friend, but he was really a co-worker basically. And at the very end of the show, they had no other options left, and Jack Bauer basically put a bullet in the guy's head. And it was just like, what? Like, whoa, we failed, So those things are possible. I mean, but understanding that designing the chase so that you know what's going to happen if they fail is really what don't design it for them to succeed. Design it for them to fail, not for them to fail. Design it as if they never took place in the chase, and then every moment they're in the chase is a greater chance of the plan not working for the bad guy, let's say.
Because you need some form of failure. Otherwise, like, what's the point? If there's no risk of that, then might as well not even play. Just tell us how you win.
Yeah. Bruce just get his teeth checked.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, it's just knocked out. So comfortable. Anyway, so we're going to end it here. I've got to go to work. I got another friggin' 12-hour day. It's so stupid. But anyway, you guys have a very good one. Thought we'd talk about chase. We're going to do chase tomorrow. Tomorrow is World Building Wednesday, so we are going to talk about settings with chases, right? Creating a setting where you want to have chases in them, and settings that have chases and how good they fit into it, especially things like Star Wars comes to mind for me as far as chase scenes go.
Mad Max immediately for me. So.
Mad Max, yeah, those kind of settings absolutely positively are like based around chases. I mean, you could do it. You could play in a Mad Max setting without the chases, but it's kind of like
it's like Mad Max without the cars, so not Mad Max then. Like
right, you got to have that. So I think that's a good one. And most spy movies, modern day spy movies, running across rooftops, running through airports, running, it's the running gunfight kind of thing. And I also think chases in medieval worlds are a big thing too, even though we don't tend to use them very often.
It's like they're there. It's just we don't really consider them as chases as much.
Right. We don't really consider like the chase through the woods or now definitely chases in horror, Call of Cthulhu styled horror. You're always being chased by something or running away from something, being chased by vampires, chased by zombies, chased by, spirits and running around a house or something. So that's always a thing too, running through the woods and being chased by werewolves or what have you. So yeah, that Cannonball Run, comedic chase on that one. Prue, have a nice day, everyone. Hope to be here. Not whiny as I am. Well, you
weren't whining at me, so that's plus.
No, you're fine. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys, for joining in. I know we all have to get back into our weird time clock thing era or whatever. So everyone have a very good day and
have fun.
Have fun.